Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Mix. My name is Peter Loshak. It is Week 12 in college football, and this is the Into the Weekend with BetDSI show for Week 12 in college football. Of course, in this show, we talk with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, about the notable betting action that he's taken over the week, and of course, get his information on the notable sharp action that he's taken over the week. Last week, the Sharps, according to Brent, went 5-4, which puts them at 66-51 ATS overall on the year. Very nice winning percentage there, plus 56% winning percentage, plus 10 units. Not bad for the Sharps. Another decent week for the Sharps. Not great, but they certainly nailed that Auburn game, didn't they?
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't one of those weeks where Peter can look at retiring yet. But yeah, it was a good week all around for us. Yeah, I mean, Auburn was a fantastic win for us, and the Miami game was very good for us as well.
Okay, Brent. Yeah, we are going to talk about the Miami game right now. That's one of the games that I did want to specifically ask you about. And again, there is a promo code associated with this show for brand new accounts at BetDSI. Weekend25. Weekend25. Use that promo code for new accounts at BetDSI, and you'll get an additional $25 free play. All right. The Miami game is the first game that I want to ask you about. Obviously, Miami undefeated, and now off of two huge ATS covers, and I'm wondering if the public is starting to jump all over Miami. The line has gotten bet up a bit. It opened at about 17, got bet up to 19. Now it's back down to 18, and the market seems pretty uncertain where to set the line. It is currently 17.5 to 19 market wide, all over the place. So uncertainty in the market. Wondering if any sharp action came in, and if the public is starting to jump all over Miami in a big way now.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to say that we do thank Miami for what they did for us last week, and that was the Miami win. Not really. I mean, the Miami win and the way they did it, of course, just blowing out Notre Dame the way they did, that was really, really big for us. And like we touched on the Auburn game, those were two real big games for us. Probably the two biggest games of the whole week, across the college slate. Just one, interesting to note. I mean, that Miami game, they were like a 3.5-point dog at home, up at halftime, like 27-0. And it's interesting to me because, just from my perspective, is like the second half. I mean, what do you do with a game like that? But I mean, the Sharps went on Miami, Florida again, even at the second half. I think the second half line was like +4. Money line was like around +195 or 190, something like that. But I just find it interesting sometimes when you've got a dog at home up 27 points, and the Sharps come and grab them again at halftime. It's it takes some cojones to do that, but I respect the Sharps for the way they do stuff like that. Again, it's for me, like, I would just sit there and, if I had Miami, Florida for the game, I'd be riding it out. I wouldn't be playing it again at halftime, But the Sharps did play Miami, Florida at halftime. I just thought it was kind of, notable when you got a team up, like I said, 27-0 at halftime, and they play them a game. This game here, it's kind of interesting with Virginia in that and that's basically everyone who Miami plays. I don't know if the public's not sold on Miami or what it is, but we generally have decent charts with Miami still. Decent in terms of not being one-sided, and this is a game where I even got my wager count still almost like 2-1 favoring Virginia getting the points. Now, as you talked about, there really hasn't been a whole lot of movement on this one. It's basically been around 18, just hovering a half point above or a half point below 18 since it opened, and we're kind of still hanging out right there as well. My money slightly favors Virginia right now. Like I said, my wager count is almost 2-1 favoring Virginia, but just nothing significant, no sharps involved, so there really hasn't been any movement on it. The total is pretty much the same situation. I've got a little bit more money bet on the over, but not much. This game opened at 50.5, and we're sitting at 50.5 still. So it's just to looking at the charts basically so far, no sharp action involved. Just wager counts favoring Virginia. Like I said, it's almost 2-1 favoring Virginia, but just nothing worth moving on.
Okay, it's interesting that the wager count's favoring Virginia, but the line has moved a little bit in Miami's favor. Why would that be?
Well, I'm looking at where it opened up. I think it opened up like 18.5, and that's where we are right now in this one. Just let me check on my flow here. Line history. Yeah, it opened 18, went down to 18.5. That's where we are right now. Yeah, I mean, I could see this number going back down, going down more. From what I see, it went up like a half point and then went down a half point, which is kind of where we are right now.
All right, we'll see where it closes. Sorry?
Yeah, just based on the wager count, I would say this line might drop a little bit.
Right.
It could be if there's no sharps, they're not going to get involved, and all you have is public action. Then you kind of say, well, if they're not going to come in now, it is time to make a move. So you kind of go down from like maybe 18.5. You might drop down to like 17.5 and see if that kind of draws them in.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see where it closes. As of right now, the market is, again, a little bit uncertain. A bunch of books disagreeing on where to set this line. Next game I want to ask about is an interesting one. It's the Ohio State Illinois line. Obviously, Ohio State dominated Michigan State last week, and obviously, Illinois is a terrible team. The line opened as a huge favorite for Ohio State, 38.5. I'm sure a lot of people were looking at that line, thinking about what to do with that, what to make of it, scratching their head a bit, and it's gotten bet significantly up since it opened at 38.5. It's now all the way up to 41 market wide. What's been driving that number? Did you take any sharp action on Ohio State or on Illinois on this one? And is the public pounding this line up?
Yeah, I don't have any sharp backs on this one. I do respect the fact that they moved from 38.5 to 41. Now, if you look at it as kind of like as a percentage, it's not really a huge move. The number is obviously huge. But I do have, I've got more money on Ohio State, and that's pretty much what's driving it up from my standpoint. Just the fact that I've got more money looking to draw something back on Illinois right now. It's interesting with this game too is the total. It's kind of like sometimes when you look at a spread and it's got bet up to 41, you kind of think that perhaps the total should be going up as well, but this total is actually going down, which is kind of like really really strange. It's like there's no correlation to it at all. So basically, the bettors are looking at this, either the betting the total separately or the side separately, not looking at any correlation between the two events. Because if you're betting the side and you're laying 40 points, you got to figure this game might go over, because you're basically saying that Ohio State can score more than 40 or 41. So the total is only 53 right now. And again, if you're betting the game under, you got to be pretty attracted to the points and grabbing them with Illinois. But as of yet, that hasn't happened. In terms, there's no correlation. There's no people kind of laying the points and going the over, or taking the points and going with the under, or anything like that. So it's kind of strange in that the point spread is going up and the total is going down with such a high number. I mean, 41 is where we are right now in terms of the spread, 53 on the total. But my wager count, just slightly favors the over, even though it has gone down. But again, just kind of following the board in that I don't have any significant money betting the over, no sharps or pseudo sharps or any like big max bets yet. So yeah, I mean, on the side, I could say it's just money right now from my side that's moving it Ohio State's way.
Okay, and then the third game I want to ask about, huge rivalry game, of course, UCLA and USC. Both teams have been bad ATS on the year overall, but of course we have seen USC starting to ramp it up recently. So I'm guessing that the public is coming in favoring USC, but there hasn't been much of a move on this line either, just from 15 to 16. So I'm guessing no notable sharp action on this one. Otherwise, we would have seen a bigger move. So I'm guessing that you'll tell us that you have about a 2-to-1 wager count in favor of USC here.
Yeah, well, actually, I've got 2-to-1 in terms of my money favoring USC. My wager count is pretty much dead even on this one, just a little bit more money the other way. So I'm getting a little bit of respect the other way, I guess you want to say it, for UCLA. But my wager count, it's not bad. It's pretty close on this one. My money, like I said, does favor USC. The over is kind of the only thing where I got like a significant chart in terms of the fact that I got a whole lot of money on the over, a whole lot of count favoring the over. And again, that's no surprise, but still, market wide, I think everyone opened around 69.5 or up to 71.5. And I just get the feeling it's kind of, it's not a big move, especially on a total. I mean, you definitely see stronger moves on totals if sharp action gets involved. So, you see totals move, 4 points and stuff like that. There's not, that's not like all that irregular. The fact that this total's only moved 2 points from 69.5 to 71.5 suggests to me that market wide, everyone's kind of looking at the same thing that I am right now. That just public money is going on the over, which again is kind of no surprise with these Pac-12 teams and with the big spread that we have on USC. Even if you look at the board right now, we talk about the spread really hasn't moved too much, and there's 15s out there, and the highest number is like 16.5, and I'm talking about some of the more reputable books on Dot Best. So you're looking 15, 15.5, 16, and 16.5. So quite a variation, a full point and a half in terms of what's out on the board right now. I don't have any, anything sharp action involved in this game as of yet.
All right. Well, 3 interesting games. No list guys on any of those 3 games. It's kind of an interesting card this week. Not that many huge marquee matchups. What can you tell us about notable action from Week 12 in college football, Brent?
Yeah, it is kind of a strange card. You kind of touched on that. There are some games that if you kind of like look at, you think they would be like decent matchups and stuff like that. LSU, Tennessee, you think would be a decent one. We talked about even like Michigan, Wisconsin's decent. Cal and Stanford, but most of those games have point spreads like in the double digits. I mean, Stanford's like 14. We talked about USC, who's like 15.5 right now. So there's a lot of games out there where the point spreads are quite high, and involving teams that you figure would have like smaller spreads like 3.5 points, 7.5 point spreads and stuff like that. Just kind of surprising him. Maryland, Michigan State, typically, a better game than this. And it's just kind of interesting that you've got games that are involving a lot of kind of like marquee teams, but the spreads kind of take it out of the fact that they're maybe not expecting very competitive games. But I will talk about first off with the sharp stuff that I have. None of these, again, some of these games are not going to be so marquee because of the teams involved at this point. And first off is rotation 354. If you're looking at Don Best, Southern Miss is that first play. Southern Miss is playing at home to Charlotte. Now, I think Charlotte had, I think they've had one game, one win so far over the course of the season. So no surprise, perhaps, that the sharp money is on Southern Mississippi, minus 16.5. That line's 17.5 right now. I've got a wager count almost 3-1 favoring Southern Miss as well. So I've got the public backing Southern Miss against a team that on paper with Charlotte is not very good. So Southern Miss is the first play there, minus 16.5. Like I said, we're 17.5 right now. We'll drop down to total for you, which is South Alabama and Georgia Southern. That one I've got sharp action on the under of this one. That came under 47. And again, I don't like to predict stuff and say, wow, I like that player, I don't like that play as well. But these teams, a couple of low-scoring teams who've been involved in a lot of low-scoring games, so it kind of stands to reason where the sharp guys are liking this under. Under 47 is where they went. We're sitting at 44.5, 44 right now. I see it on the board. There are some, as low as 43.5, as high as 44.5. I'm sitting at 44. Sharp action on this one was at under 47. Texas Tech, and we'll talk about that's kind of as close as we get to a marquee game. Texas Tech and TCU. I've got sharp money on the home dog, Texas Tech. Texas Tech, just 5-5 on the year, but they certainly put up a lot of points. TCU's 8-2 on the year, so it's kind of like a big game for them in terms of needing to win. But they've lost 2 of their last 3 and lost to Oklahoma last week. I've got a wager count almost 2-1 favoring TCU. I have sharp money on the home dog, Texas Tech plus the 7.5. So that's kind of like a good spot for us right now. Right now, that number has dropped down to 6. So I think yesterday we were sitting at 6.5, so it's dropped down even further since yesterday. So Texas Tech plus 7.5 has a home dog against TCU. Next up, covering all the Texases is Texas State and Arkansas State. Got to play here on the under of this one. This one, the sharps went under 60, and looking where we are right now, sitting at 57 right now. Again, this one's one of those games that kind of continually dropped under 60. Yesterday, we were like 58.5 on this game, and this one, pretty much across the board right now is at 57 or 57.5. So that one continues to drop. Going down again is Florida International and Florida Atlantic. Got another total play. This one is under 66.5. So Florida International, Florida Atlantic. It's kind of a big game for those two teams. When you look at Florida International 6-3, Florida Atlantic at 7-3. So a big game for them. I've got a wager count almost 2-1 favoring the over. So that's kind of a good spot for me where I've got the public betting the over and sharp guys on the under of this game. We are sitting at 63.5 right now. Sharp money came on the under 66.5. And it's kind of interesting in that, Florida Atlantic is kind of involved in higher scoring games across, for the season. They are a 14.5 point home favorite. Florida International has been, involved in mostly low scoring games throughout the season. So it's kind of interesting that this point spread on this one has kind of gone up a little bit, 14 to 14.5. Yet the total going down, and you figure if they're figuring that Florida Atlantic is going to win, just the nature of their kind of score sheet so far has been the over game. But I got sharp money on the under here. I do have another side here, which is San Diego State. San Diego State is playing Nevada. Nevada's 2 wins on the season, and San Diego State 8-2 sitting on the season. I think that San Diego State maybe a decent play here if you get the 15. They seem like a team. I think they've held like their last 2 opponents just to a touchdown. And you got a Nevada team who's just been giving up a whole lot of points. This line has gone to 16 or 16.5 across the board, and that was sharp action on San Diego State that came in. So San Diego State minus 15. And I kind of go out of order here. I do have one more total involved. That's Rutgers and Indiana. I've got under on that game. Rutgers, Indiana, under 50 is where that one came. And we're sitting at 48 right now, Peter.
All right, Brent from BetDSI. Yeah, that's interesting about the Florida Atlantic FIU game because obviously Florida Atlantic's been a big over-trending team, and the line opened at like 62.5 and then got bet way up, and the Sharps, I guess, waited till the line got bet up and then came in then. They didn't want to bite on the opening total. They bit only when it got bet up.
Yeah, it's all about numbers and stuff like that. I mean, like if you ask a sharp guy, basically you ask them any football game on the board, and and ask them who do you like, and they'll say, well, with the point spread. I mean, if I gotta lay a pick 'em, then I'll take team A. If I gotta, if I'm catching 7.5 points, well, then I'll take team B. It's they don't, at the right price, they like anyone.
All right, sounds good. Brent from BetDSI, thanks so much. Appreciate it once again. The promo code for brand new accounts at BetDSI, Weekend25. Use that promo code to get a free an additional $25 free play. Brent from BetDSI, thanks so much.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.